let's get into, speaking of verses, the most recent verses battle that occurred between Ashanti and Keyshia Cole.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get to watch it?
I did.
Yeah.
I got to watch it. I watched the whole thing. This is probably
Same.
the one versus battle that I actually really watched the whole thing.
Really? And did you choose this one of all of them?
So it just happened to be circumstances. Like, I wanted to watch it, of course.
Yeah, of course.
I happened to, like, just look at my phone when it started.
Mm-hmm. When it actually started or when it was supposed to
When it was supposed to start.
Oh, okay.
And then I was, like, cooking. So it was, like, I just had it playing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because usually I would never, like, I'm not going to stare at my phone for an hour before someone, like, I would just leave. But since I was cooking, I was like, okay, I can listen to it.
And just, wait.
Yeah, so what were your thoughts? I want to hear what you thought about it.
Well, luckily for me, I had forgotten about it. Like, I had it on the docket to watch that evening, but I had forgotten about it. So I was like, oh shit, like 30 minutes into what should have been the battle, I go there to try and watch it. Luckily for me, it hadn't started. So I got to catch the entire thing, much like yourself. The reason I made that comment about, like, this is the one you watch the whole thing for is because I found it underwhelming, unfortunately. I mean, I knew who the winner was going to be.
Who was the winner?
Drum roll, please. I think the winner was Ashanti.
Okay.
I don't know if that's...
that you said that.
Really?
I'm surprised just
a lot
because...
of people keep saying that. I'm like, because I talked to my brother about it before the battle even happened as well, and I was like, this is obviously an Ashanti win. Like,
I'm just surprised by that because I feel like you always try to go with the, like, not the underdog or, like, the less... Yes. Like,
I'm an underdog, like, champ. I do love an underdog story, but... I mean, like objectively, and objectively, I feel like I could objectively say one is going to win over the other. I'm not saying who I wanted to win. I said who I.
No, of course, I understand that. Yeah.
And I definitely thought Ashanti was going to win, and I think she did. By far, like, in my opinion, I know that there's alternate opinions to that, but that's just me. But outside of, like, the music, something about the energy was off, especially to begin. The battle, it was kind of cringe at times.
It was. I think it's one of those things where something goes wrong, technical difficulties, or someone is late, or something, right? We don't know exactly what. I'm sure in the coming weeks we're going to find out all the details because someone is going to do an interview with Breakfast Club and tell you why they were late or why it looked a certain way. But I think when that happens, it kind of throws up the vibe. Yeah. And now, like, people have to do things that is not their forte, or it's just not how it's supposed to be. Like, Ashanti had to come entertain us by herself. But, like, and then, like, we've done those lives, so, like, I kind of felt her pain, because when you're doing a live, like, when no one is talking to you, it's like you're in a room by yourself. Like, you're talking to yourself. So it's actually quite hard to entertain people on live by yourself, because it's like, oh, are you guys watching me? Oh, you guys here? Like, so it was just her and the DJ, and it was awkward because I feel like she was a little awkward and just like, I'm talking to myself.
I guess what surprised me, which somebody else said this, so I'm not going to take credit for it, is that this is definitely something that has happened at several battles before in terms of starting like an hour late. This is not different. I don't know why this time it felt so strange. Like, it surprised me that, like, okay, fine, it was late. Like, all the other ones have happened. So why is it about this one? I guess, to your point, like you said, maybe things will come out that explain what happened behind the scenes. Like, I do think there were technical difficulties on Keyshia's side and things like that. So who knows? But I didn't expect the energy to be so off just because they were starting late and whatever was happening in the background happened. Like, especially because both of them were like feeling good about each other. Like they didn't have smoke for each other. They were like, it was all love. So I'm like, this just doesn't feel right. But I will say at some point loosened up, tensions kind of eased. Especially when certain songs were playing and whatnot. You know, like it got better, and then at the end it kind of dipped again. Overall, I'll give like the battle itself maybe like a 4 or 5 out of 10.
Yeah, it wasn't it wasn't a great spectacle, and I think that those issues are really what kind of came up. Was one, the way it started, like you said, the energy was just off. Like some artists can go out there and entertain by themselves. I don't think Ashanti's that person. Which, I mean, it's not a knock against her. Like, but like, it's like you wouldn't want.
She's not like a Cardi B. Cardi B can talk to a wall.
Like, imagine if you had like someone like Jay-Z, just because he's an artist I want people to respect. I wouldn't want Jay-Z to be there just talking to his DJ. Like, Jay-Z wouldn't want, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he doesn't have that personality almost. So it's like it wasn't really fair. Like if it was Snoop, Snoop could like have a party by himself. Honestly, like it would be fun. So I think that kind of threw everything off. I think Keyshia was kind of rushed in a way. Like you could tell that was just kind of like, okay, let's go. Even Ashanti coming out was kind of like, if you've ever been to one of those shows where like everyone is antsy, like where is the person? And then someone just has to go on stage to kill time. But it's like she's the main act. She can't be the person that's killing time. And then I also just felt like Keyshia's audio was not really good. So like when I was listening, Ashanti's songs came through very clear. Keyshia Cole's songs did not. So it also affected a little bit.
Singing like Ashanti when she would sing, obviously
you can hear it well.
Better. Keysha not so much. And we all know what Keyshia's voice is, so it was. I don't think it had anything to do with her voice or her abilities.
I don't think so.
It just it just messed with the vibe of the whole.
Yeah, and I think that Keyshia was also just like at the end. The one thing I did take away, which might be unfair, but it kind of felt like Keyshia was not taking it as serious. It was kind of like, she was just like, okay, let's chill. She had a little drink. She was just, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if it's because of what happened beforehand, where she was just like, you know what, I'm just going to enjoy myself, you know? Because that does happen. Like, imagine, like, I'm putting too much energy into this. Exactly. But it kind of felt like that. It was like, she wasn't really going to do the most. And, like, not that you want her to do the most, but, like, you can get that vibe as well, where it's like, oh, I'm just chilling, which is cool. What did you think
won?
Honestly, I think Ashanti won, but I feel like I've heard people say her songs where it was just like she was just featured, like it's hard to give her a point for that.
Which I don't think is fair because so many battles.
Right. So see, like I'm the person that didn't watch all the battles, so I don't know what the quote unquote protocol is. But to me, I'm like,
that happens all the time.
I can see how you might feel a way about giving her a point for that. But yeah, no, I think the one thing I knew going into it was that she would have to play a lot of songs like those that were like she was featured on. So of course she did.
There was a lot of Ja Rule. It was like Ja Rule and Ashanti.
Like,
that was the only thing I was like, there's not enough variety here.
Yeah.
Still, and at the end of the day, the song is still the song, and it still goes hard.
Yeah, so. And I just felt like their styles kind of clash a little bit. Like Ashanti is way more poppy, and Keyshia Cole is really like
very
R&B. So exactly. So I feel like a lot of people that are scoring is probably just based on one, your preference in music, but also like when you grew up. Because I feel like Ashanti was before Keyshia Cole. So if you grew up like maybe your early teens were doing Ashanti versus Keyshia Cole or whatever, like you have that age of music.
I will say though, I was like, I didn't like the pairing when I first heard it, and like I said, I had spoken to my brother about this pairing, but we were both there like. But who else would go against Ashanti? Like, I actually couldn't think of... Because obviously Ashanti isn't like Beyonce status.
In a perfect world, or maybe imperfect world, the person that would go against... I was about to say J-Lo, but I feel like J-Lo would actually kill Ashanti. So that's the thing. Like, Ashanti doesn't have that many people because she was almost kind of like the feature girl, but then she actually had like a couple of her own songs. Like, she has like a solid 6 or 7 that is just her. Whereas, like, there's not that many people that have that. So, it is tough to find her a matchup.
I think of the matchups in the world, I think this was the best they could do, and that's why it's what we have.
I feel like Keyshia Cole could have had a bunch of different matchups.
Who?
I don't want to put names or sound insulting people, but I feel like in a different world, Keyshia Cole could go up against Monica.
That's actually who popped into my brain. I think she would have been good for Monica, but I think for obvious reasons, Monica and Brandy.
Of course, that made more sense.
I'm thinking like who's out there left. Monica's the only one I could think of.
Yeah, and I feel like who else did she had a song with Jaheim. I feel like her and Jaheim could go against each other. Though I don't know if Jaheim would have 20 songs.
Yeah, I don't think Jaheim
if it was 10 though, he would probably win. Actually, Jaheim is. I love Jaheim.
10, sure, but it's not.
10, so I mean, it's tough to find matchups. That's I wonder what they're gonna do when all the obvious matchups are.
I think they're getting to that point. Like I saw on Twitter, the chatter was like, "Okay, I think Versuz might have like had its moment." Like I guess this particular battle had people just a little off. Especially because they weren't in the same room, and I guess people got accustomed to that, like the production value of having them in the same room.
It just wasn't the same thing. Yeah. We'll see what happens. I think the one thing that they probably will have to do at some point is expand beyond music. Yeah. I feel like I saw something. I can't remember what I saw. I feel like I saw something with like the NFL or So
I don't know how that works.
So they're starting to think about it because there's only so many musical acts you could put up against each other, especially like when it's 20 songs, so it's like literally your whole, like, you know what I mean? Because if it
I
was
think
like
what
five,
would be cool,
if it was like 5 songs against 5 songs, you can come back like multiple times because like, oh, I have a different 5 for a different artist. You know what I mean?
And maybe they will do that. I think I've heard that before, where it's like, okay, maybe we should do some 10s, like some of those.
20 is a lot.
Yeah, some people don't have 20, but I also think what would be cool, which people have done kind of already, to a certain extent, is like playlist battles, if you will, like giving like some sort of theme, like okay. 90s music, and giving 2 people that are really well respected in the industry, like the task of coming up with the best playlist for that. And that could be the matchup as opposed to the artist.
I can see that.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, and I think the only other thing that goes against them is not just the music thing, but it's also like they live on celebrity. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like the idea you just brought up, they couldn't just have 2 random people do it. It has to be DJ Khaled.
Exactly. That's
so it's like you will. I don't want to say you will run out of them, but like at some point you're gonna have to recycle because there's only so many people that are actually gonna draw people. Yeah. Like if I was about to say somebody's name, but they'll probably draw people, so let me not say that. I'm going to say, like, what's his name? The young boy, NBA young boy. But people will probably show up.
Oh my God, don't even start.
There are people that, like,
start with that
we don't care about. Like that.
NBA young boy,
yeah, teenagers like
fans, bruh.
Yeah.
You know he's, like, the most streamed person on YouTube?
I know. That's the only reason I know he has fans, because I keep seeing that everywhere.
No, my brother and sister are obsessed, so.
Yeah, well, good luck to them.